Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Let's start the remaining lectures of the JavaScript. Let's start the learning of the JavaScript from the schools.com. JavaScript errors. JavaScript error throw and try to catch. Try statement. Let's use text a block of code for error. The catch statement let you handle the error. The throw statement let you create custom error. The finally statement lets you execute code after a try and catch regardless of the result. Error will happen when execution just code. Different error can occur. Error can be coding error made by the programmer, error due to the wrong input, the error unforeseeable thing. Okay. In this example, we misspelled alert as add alert add we misspelled alert as add alert to deliberately produce an error. Okay, error is not undefined. Why? Because it is not a variable. But alert, add alert, error dot message. Add alert is not defined. Okay, what would we do? We'll use the try and catch statement. Try and catch statement. Except writing alert with alert alert method. What we write? Add alert method. Okay. Welcome to learning. Then it would show. What does it would show? Document dot get element by ID. Document dot get element by ID. Demo inner HTML is equal to alert. Alert. Variable A is equal to A. It is not working. Why? Because of this alert. Now it is alerting. Okay. Okay, so step writing this, but I want to write the large option. Large. So it's in nothing. Now I try to add the large and I want to show this. Now it is not nothing. So now I want to catch the error. What would I do? I would put the statement try and catch. Try and catch. So let me see why it is not. Now what I have to do, I have to catch the error. So by catching the error, now what would I do? Error dot message. It should show us a message. Add lot is not defined. Okay. We have add lot. This is the add lot. If we don't find the add lot here, add lot. Okay, let's go to that. JavaScript catches add lot as an error and execute the code catch code to handle it. Okay. Just try and catch. Try statement allows you to define a block of code to be tested for error while it is being executed. The catch statement allows you to define a block of code to be executed if an error occurs in the try block. Okay. The JavaScript statement try and catch comes in pairs. Try block of code to try, block of code to handle error. JavaScript found error. When an error occurs, JavaScript will normally stop and generate an error message. The technical term for this is JavaScript will throw an exception. Exception. Throw an error. JavaScript will exactly create an error object with two properties name and message. Throw. The throw statement allows you to create a custom error. Technically, you can throw an exception, throw an error. So the exception can be JavaScript string, a number, a boolean, or a object. Throw too big, throw a text, throw 500, throw a number. If you use throw together with the try and catch, you can control program flow and generate custom error message. You can control program flow and generate custom error. Okay. Input validation example. This example examines inputs. If a value is wrong, an exception error is thrown. This example examines input if a value is wrong, an exception error is thrown. The exception error is called by the catch statement and a custom error is displayed. Please input a number between 5 and 10. No error. 9. No error. 11. Input is too long. Okay. 5. Input is too. Okay. 4. Input is too low. Now, hi. Input is not a number. Okay. Now, you input it should say input is not a boolean. Okay, no problem. Let's look at the JavaScript code. Function my function variable on click my function variable message and x the message is equal to get element by id p is equal to p01 it should show the message. Okay, message dot inner html is equal to null and string. Okay, message dot inner html is equal to null string. Okay, x is equal to document dot get element by id demo id is demo type test x is equal to document dot get element by id demo dot value dot value try if x is equal to null throw empty the input is empty throw empty if his name is not a number x not a number x is not a number throw not a number. Okay, if x is equal to number x if x is not a number throw not a number. Okay, if x is equal to number x then if x is less than 5 throw too low if x is greater than 10 throw too high. This is the error throw this is the error. Okay, catch error message dot inner html is equal to input is the concatenation error. Okay, let me copy and paste this one. Oh, sorry. So what would I do? I would add it here. Let me move this to variable message and x. These are the two variables. Now message is equal to what document dot document dot get element by id demo. Sorry, this one is the id 301 301 dot 301. Still the statement is no message dot inner html is equal to null. This is also null and this is also null. This is null that was with this space. So now what should it be? We have to create a variable with x and assign the value to this input. Okay. Now x is equal document dot get element by id demo dot value should be value. Okay, now try. int right, error, int right, if x is empty, if x variable equal, what is the x? This is the value is the x. X is equal to empty is equal to null value, then throw, throw. What should it throw? Empty, empty. Error should be throw empty. Error should throw empty. Okay, empty. This one, what should we have been done? So if beautify, I have done the beautify. If is not a number, but x. Well, if x is not a number, then what should it do? It should throw the error not a number. It may not done. Now what should it do? If x is equal to number x, if x equal to number x, the type is number. No need to put the number value wise, I really don't know. We will learn about it. We are trying to convert the value of value into number and assigning this again to x variable. Okay. So now what it should be if x is less than 10, 5. It should throw the message too low, too short. If x is greater than 10 and throw the message too low. Okay, message. Now we should catch the error. Now get a document that get element by id message dot inner html is equal to message dot inner html is equal to error concatenation. Uh, sorry. Input is concatenation error. Message dot inner html message should show. Input is error the error where the value is this. Document dot get element by id. This is the id. Now we don't need to write this document dot get element by id. To write this by putting the message. Now what should we do here? Hi now input is empty. No, input is not empty. Input is not a number. Now the message input is not a number, but it is not one. Let's see. I should have to write it in a function. I should have write these all code in a function. Function my fun. Cut paste. This is beautiful. Now it is working. No, still it will not work because of this. Because of what? Because of this. My fun my function. Now I input is not a number. Okay, so I should have to write a number. I should also write this message according to information of the user. I have to put the number 10 or okay. Well, input is too low. Okay. 5 is okay. So input is too short. Input is equal to between. There is no between error. HTML validation. The code above is just an example. Modern browsers will often use a combination of JavaScript and built-in HTML validation. Using predefined validation role define an HTML attribute. Input ID is equal to this. Type is equal to number. Minimum is equal to 5. Maximum is equal to 10. Setup 1. You can read more about forms validation in the later chapter of this tutorial. The final statement. Final statement lets you execute code after try and catch regardless of the result. Try block of the code to try catch block of the code to handle the error. Finally, block of the code to be executed regardless of the try and catch. Function my function variable x and y. Finally, document get element by id demo is equal dot value is equal to this. And input is not empty. I'm trying to write y. Now finally successful. Run a successful. Okay. Element by id here in the 301 form. Inner HTML. Finally, let me try it in my site. Finally, what should it write? Finally, it should write message dot get element by id dot inner html is equal to successful entire successfully entered. Okay. Now if I put 5 and now 4 if the try and catch is not. So finally if this doesn't try to catch the error and didn't caught the error, the finally this message will be shown. So we can write it also according to this message get element by id p01 dot inner html is equal to this. We don't need to write this because this is also already. Document that get element by id and dot value is equal to this. Document dot get element by id get element by id element by id document dot get element by id demo should be value should be an empty value 100 and 5 getting to the empty. Okay, let's try finally it will show this. The error object. JavaScript has a built-in error object that provides error information when an error occurs. The error object provides two useful properties, name and message. JavaScript has a built-in error object that provides an error information when an error occurs. The error object provides two useful properties, name and message. So the next, let's start. Good next. Property name sets return an error name. Message sets or returns an error message string. Error name values. Six different values can be returned by error name property. Eval error, an error has occurred in eval function. Range error, a number out of range has occurred. Reference error, an illegal reference error has occurred. Syntax error, a syntax error has occurred. Type error, a type error has occurred. URI error, a URI error in a error in code URI method has occurred. The same different values are described below. An eval error indicates an error in the eval function. Let's see what is the eval function. Never Newer versions of JavaScript do not throw eval error. The use syntax error instead. Newer versions of JavaScript do not throw eval error. Use syntax error instead. Okay. Range error is shown if you use a number. This is outside the range of the legal values. A range error is shown if you use a number that is outside the range of a legal value. For example, you can set the number of significant digits of a number to 500. Variable number is equal to 1 try. Number to precision fixed digits 500. A number cannot have 500 significant digits. Catch error document.get element by id demo inner statement is equal to error. Range error. Number dot to precision 500 range error. 15 500 to let's try to catch the range error. So hands on practice 17 18 it will occur an error still no okay 20 I think the error is okay 20 number is equal to my number dot precision dot error dot error name. What is the error name? Script tag variable num assigning the value 1. Now what we like to do? Now what we want to do? We want to Right. We want to add a try and catch. Here num dot to precision 500 document dot get element by id demo in html sorry in html is equal to error dot name error. It's not getting saved. There is still an input. Let me add a p tag. ID would be demo. ID is equal to demo. It is a range error. Not showing the range error. Reference error. Reference error is shown if you use the reference error variable that has not been declared. Reference of a variable that hasn't been declared. Variable x, but we didn't declare the x. Try x is equal to y plus 1. Now we didn't declare the variable y. Catch error document dot get element by id demo dot inner html is equal to error dot name. It will show us the undeclared. Okay, variable x. Now variable x is equal to y plus 1. Now what will it do? We have to write this line of code into sorry here. Get try document that get element by id demo dot inner html is equal to error name reference error because of this y. Now there is no error. So let's start the next chapter. Syntax error. A syntax error is shown if you try to evaluate code with a syntax error. Try eval function eval method missing will produce an error. Eval function alert hello world. This apostrophe isn't here. So catch error document get element by id dot name syntax error. So the next one will be even method. In even method, alert, hello, alert, hello, syntax error. Okay, cross of these. No, no, it wouldn't be. Even method. Type error is found if you use a value that is outside the range of expected type. Number is equal to null, number to uppercase. This you cannot convert a number to uppercase. That will declare a variable called name. Assign value to 1, equal to name. Now, sorry. Now let's see what does it do. We are going to where we are going to what typecasting. Number to uppercase method to uppercase method. Error dot name it would be type error. Okay. URI uniform resource identifier error. Uniform resource identifier error is shown if you use illegal character in a URI function. Try URI percentage. You cannot URI decode percentage sign. Decode URI percentage. It's on if you use illegal character in a URI function. Uniform resource identifier. Now what should we do? Decode URI function. Percentage. And then percentage. Now the error should be URI error. Uniform resource identifier. Non-standard error object properties. Mozilla and Microsoft define some non-standard error object properties. File name Mozilla, line number Mozilla, column number Mozilla, stat Mozilla, description Mozilla, Microsoft, number Microsoft. Do not use these properties in public websites. These will not work in all browsers. Stat will not work in the Mozilla browser. Complete error reference. For a complete error reference of error object, go to our complete reference of JavaScript. So we will go to the reference of all languages later by getting have an access hands on experience at many subject projects. Let me go to error. The next chapter is scope. JavaScript scope. Scope determines the accessibility, visibility of variable. JavaScript function scope. In JavaScript, there are two types of scope: local scope, global scope. JavaScript has function scope. Each function creates a new scope. Scope determines the accessibility, visibility of these variables. Variables defined inside a function are not accessible, visible for the outside of the function if it is a local scope. Local variable, JavaScript variable. Variable declared within a JavaScript function becomes a local to the function. Local variables have local function. They can only be accessed within the function. That there is the variable in the function. We can only access these variables in this function. We can't access them out of the function. Global variable. Let's try it ourselves. Functions the variable column is equal to val. So document that get element by id demo one type of car name plus car name concatenation null string concatenation of car name. So let's what does we do? Here a variable named car name is equal to car name is equal to Honda. So now we want to access it. Function my fun, creating a function with the name of my fun. So I would also call it my function. My function. In this, I want to get this value of the car variable. Get element by id demo dot inner HTML is equal to type of variable concatenation null concatenation. It would be variable name. Its string type of variable is string and the value of the variable is Honda. So that will copy this line of code out of the function code. So it's not showing us type of bar name undefined. It should show us the undefined, but it's not showing us. Undefined document.get element by id demo.inner is equal to class concatenation class concatenation. So now now car name. Undefined. If I remove this one, then it will show us undefined. Type of car name is undefined. Okay, so next. Since local variables are not recognized inside the function, variables with the same name can be used in different functions. Since the variable are only recognized inside their function. Variable with the same name can be used in different functions. Local variables are created when a function starts and deleted when the function is completed. Global JavaScript variable. A global JavaScript variable or short a function becomes global. A global variable has global scope. All scripts and functions of a web page can access it. Now, making it a global variable, we can access it also inside the function concatenation variable name. That's the car name. The function we are accessing, but we are not accessing. My function variable car name is equal to $1. Now it is a global scope. I can display wall document that get element by ID is equal to this. Now it has become the global scope. JavaScript variable objects and functions are also variables. Scope determines the accessibility of variables, objects, and functions from their parts of the code. Automatically global. If you assign a value to a variable that has not been declared, it would automatically become a global variable. This code example will declare a global variable car name even if the value is assigned inside a function. Even if the value is assigned inside a function. Let's try document.get element by ID. Function by function. This is the function. Assigning the value to the variable inside of the function. By declaring the variable outside of the function as a global scope. We are accessing it in the inside of this function. Now let's try to access it outside of the function. Strict mode. All modern browsers support running JavaScript in strict mode. You will learn more about how to use strict mode in the later chapter of this tutorial. The strict mode undeclared variable are not automatically global. In strict mode, undeclared variable are not automatically global. Global variable in HTML. With JavaScript, the global scope is the complete JavaScript environment. In HTML, the global scope is the window object. All global variables below belong to the window object. In the JavaScript, global variable is the complete JavaScript environment. Window.format. Now we are only using the HTML only. Rest of the JavaScript. Coder can use window.car name document get element by ID demo dot inner HTML is equal to icon display plus window.car name. Name is equal to what? Honda. Car name is equal to Honda document get element by ID car name. Let's remove this one. Concatenation and type of variable. I can display bulb. Window dot car document that get element by ID variable is car name. Document get element by ID dot in HTML. I can display the car plus window dot car name. Concatenation. Still it is not working in my side. It's also using the JavaScript code. Script the car name is Honda. Still the car name is Honda. Developer variable defined with variable will become a window variable. Warning: do not create global variable unless you intend to. Your global variable or function can override window Windows variable or function. Any function including the window object can override your global variable and functions. Any function including the window object can override your global variable and function. Your global variable or function can override window variable or function. The lifetime of the JavaScript variable. The lifetime of the JavaScript variable starts when it is declared in web browser. Locked variables are deleted when the function is complete. In a web browser, global variables are deleted when you close the browser window or tab. In the web browser, the global variables are deleted when they close the browser window tab. Function argument. Function argument parameters work as local variable inside function or parameter. Local variable inside of the function. JavaScript hosting. Hosting is JavaScript's difficult behavior of moving declaration to the code. JavaScript declaration are hosted. In JavaScript, a variable can be declared after it has been used. Okay, after it has been used. In other words, a variable can be used before it has been declared. Example 1. Given the same result as example 2. Assigning to 5x. Assign the value of the x to 5. Element is equal to document.getElement. Element is also a variable. Now x is equal to 5. Didn't declare the x variable string. Now what I want to learn. Why learn also didn't declare still. Then why we are using element? I really don't know. Document dot get element by id demo dot inner html demo. Find an element. Display x in the element. Num dot inner html is equal to 5x. It's some time before it is declared. X variable x. Now let's have an extra work. Assign the value of x variable to 7. Now what the result should be. It should be 5. That make it let type let variable, then it should be 7. No, we cannot declare let variable after. We cannot exactly before declaring it is equal to x. So example number 2, variable x declares x is equal x is equal to 5. Assign 5 to x variable. Element document get element by id. Find an element. Element dot inner html is equal to this is the example 2. Now we will what we will do. We will assign it here. Declare it here. Also assign it here. Before only. But beautiful. To understand this, you have to understand the term hosting. Hosting is JavaScript's default behavior of moving all declaration to the top of the current scope, to the top of the current script, or the current function. Let and constraints keyword. Variable defined with let and constant are pasted to the top of the block, but not initialized. Variable defined with let and constant are pasted to the top of the block, but not initialized, meaning the block of code is aware of the variable, but it cannot be used until it has been declared. Using a let variable before it is declared will result in the reference error. The variable in the temporal dead zone, temporarily dead zone, from the start of the block until it is declared. This will result in the reference error, where we should have to put the try and catch error. Let car name. Car name is equal to what? Car name is equal to Honda. So document.get elements by ID. Document.get elements by ID. Demo inner HTML is equal to car name. Car name Honda. Still, why it is a string Honda? Before assigning a value, we cannot use a variable before it is declared. Okay, I got it. We cannot use a variable before it is assigned. That variable before it is assigned. Now, what would we do? We would try to put the catch try catch error error dot car name undefined. It should error dot name reference error. What is the name of the error is reference error. Using a constant variable before it is declared is a syntax error, so the code will simply not run. Because we cannot declare a variable after, we cannot assign a variable after declaring, or we cannot declare a variable in the constant value. Therefore, that would be the syntax error. Read more about the let and constant in the JavaScript. Syntax error. Constant variable car name. Now the error is a syntax error. Is a syntax error. Error dot name. It is a constant error. Type try to remove the slash dash. You cannot see the syntax error. That's that. Read more about let and constant in JavaScript. Let or constant chapter. JavaScript initialization are not hosted. JavaScript only hosted declaration, not initialization. Example 1 does not give the same result as example 2. JavaScript initialization are not hosted. JavaScript only hosted declaration, not initialization. Initialize the variable x and initialize the variable y. Display an error x plus x concatenation string concatenation y 57 5 plus 7 initialize. What does it want to say? Variable x is equal to 5 initialize. Variable y is equal to 7 initialize. Document of get element by id. Demo inner html x concatenation y. So the result would be 5 space 7. Example 2 x is equal to 5 initialize x. Elimination element. Enum dot document that get element by id. Find an element. Element that inner html is equal to x plus y. Variable y initialize. Y is undefined because we didn't initialize it here at the top. Now, what would we do? We would copy it, paste it, 5 undefined. Okay. Does it make sense that y is undefined in the last example? Yes. This is because only the declaration variable y, not the initialization equal to 7, is hoisted to the top. Because of hoisting, y has been declared before it is used. But because initialization are not hosted, the value of the y is undefined. Example 2 is the same as writing. Now what would we do? Still, it is an undefined error. Now, what would we do? We'd add it here, here, and assign the value later. Still, it is undefined. Now what will we do? We will initialize at the first time before calling the 7. Still undefined. So, so, so now it will work. 5 and 7. Declare your variable at the top. Hosting is too many developers. Too many developers are unknown or overlooked behavior of the JavaScript. If developer doesn't understand which program may contain bugs or errors. The to avoid bugs, always declare a variable at the beginning of every scope. To avoid bugs, always declare all the variables at the beginning of the every scope. Since this is how JavaScript interrupts the code, it is always a good rule. JavaScript in strict mode does not allow variables to be used if they are not declared. Study use strict in the examples. Then it means to say that we should always declare and initialize the variable at go before calling it. It could be in a global scope or a local scope. In JavaScript, use strict. Define the JavaScript code should be executed in strict mode. Use strict. Define the JavaScript code should be executed in strict mode. Use script directive. The strict directives were new in ACMA script version 5. It is not a statement but a literal expression. Ignored by the earlier versions of the JavaScript, the purpose of use strict is to indicate that the code should be executed in strict mode. With strict mode, you cannot, for example, you use undeclared variable. You cannot use the undeclared variable. All modern browsers support use strict except Internet Explorer 9 and lower. The number in the table specifies the first browser version of that fully supported the directory. The number in the table specifies the first browser version that fully supports the directory. You can use strict mode in all your programs. It helps you to write cleaner code, like preventing you from the using undeclared variable. You can use strict mode in all your programs. It helps you to write cleaner code, like preventing you from the using undeclared variable code. Use strict is just a string, so IE9 will not throw an error, even if it does not understand it. Declaring strict mode. Declaring strict mode is declared by adding use strict to the beginning of the script or the function. Strict mode is declared by adding use script to the beginning of the script or function. Declared at the beginning of the script, it has global scope. All code in the script will execute in strict mode. This will cause an error because X is not declared.